go. All right. Ladies and gents, students, I am here with Mr. Devin Hodge, who is gracious enough to spend a little bit of time with us to talk about his career path. A lot of interesting different jobs there, Mr. Hodge, so super excited to hear about that. But thanks so much for your time and being here, and we are just excited to hear about everything that you've got in store for us this morning.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. J. I'm glad to be here with you guys.
It's a pleasure. Well, with that being said, then, could we cut right to the chase? Could we talk about, now I know you have an awesome history of different jobs you've been through, but what is your current job right now? And if you could tell us a little bit about, like, what does your day in the life look like? Maybe to pre-COVID versus now, because I know some people's jobs look a little bit different with the whole COVID situation, but any information about that would be great.
So, like Mr. J said, my name's Devin Hodge. I work at Argonne National Lab, which I'm sure most of you know is a Department of Energy funded research facility about 10 miles away from Sandburg. All right, that's the best way I'd put it. If you haven't visited, you should. I currently am a Chief Operations Officer for our Computing, Environment, and Life Sciences Directorate, and there's 4 directorates at the lab there. One of them is the one that I'm in, and then there's one that does physical science, another one that does is our big X-ray machine, the Advanced Photon Source, and then another one is in environmental and global security sciences. So I'm the Chief Operations Officer for one of those 4 directorates. And you know, my pre-COVID work life, day in the life is not much different than the post-COVID, because of the type of work that I do, where I'm currently at right now as Chief Operations Officer. I oversee all of the business functions, which sounds really lame. All right, first off, let me just say, you know, I do IT support, administrative support, financial, HR, human resources. I have an oversight of a team of about 60 people that support our amazing research, which is what makes it not so lame, right? So we support some of one of the biggest, if not the biggest, supercomputing data centers in the Midwest, and that's one of our primary functions that I support in my directorate. And it seems the reason why I say it's not much different in COVID is because I'm kind of a professional meeting goer. And I you know, I go to meetings, I understand, you know, data and you know, policies, and I kind of convert those into how do we support our researchers to unburden them the best way possible. But I didn't start there. I kind of made my way to this kind of pure management role, and I don't want to, you know, turn people off on science because I'm a, you know, kind of a desk meeting goer guy. So, but I take great pride in supporting our research in the way that I do. And I'll tell a quick little story before we can go on to the next section. But I played football at Sandburg, and I also played college football. And I was an offensive lineman. And for the people that are football fans, they understand that the offensive linemen don't really ever touch the ball, you know, unless they fall on it because somebody fumbled it. You know, it's a support function. You know, it's like protecting the quarterback, you know, blocking for the receivers or the running backs. Like, I like being in the background and supporting the talent, we'll just say. And that's what I do now. I'm as a Chief Operations Officer, I support the talent. And I try to do that the best way I can. Yeah.
Oh, it's well said. I like that. And I'm sure, I mean, for my students, if you guys don't know what Argonne National Lab is right here at your home, you definitely should look into it. There's incredible research going around. And I know it's everything from, like you said, supercomputers to nuclear facilities, looking at what's the best way to clean up or use leftovers from nuclear reactors. I mean, you name it, we're there hitting on it. So that is really a place you obviously are proud of and should be proud of to be a part of and support. So could we kind of talk about then, I know now you're kind of in the business world and supporting, and this lab can't be possible without all that, but I know that you have an interesting path of how you ended up here so that you have this variety of experience, so that you are a scientifically minded gent that now kind of injects that into the business side of things. Could you kind of talk about that path? It sounds like you went to college, you played football in that. Did you end up with a science degree and then getting into this, or is this something you kind of naturally fell into?
Well, so I have a degree, a bachelor's degree in geology, which you would say, if you look at that versus what I'm doing now, you'd say they're completely different, but they're not so far apart in worlds. And I did want to give a shout out to the teaching staff at Sandberg, because I got my kind of first taste of geology back when I was going to Sandberg. There's actually a geology class. It was only offered, I think, one section of it or whatever, and I kind of was like, this is really kind of interesting, and I really had kind of a ton of interest about geology, but I didn't major in that when I got into school. I kind of didn't want to do something that was so hard. I think a lot of prospective college students are like, that'll be too hard. I won't do that, and so I became an art major, right?
Okay.
And then I did that for about a semester and realized I had zero talent in art.
Okay.
So I was kind of searching around, and I was like, I took a college level geology class, physical geology class at the time, and I was like, this is really, the foundation I had at Sandberg, kind of led right into that. I was like, this may be a career path that I want to get into. And somebody at the time said, don't worry about what job you're going to get. Do something that you enjoy. Maybe back then during that job market, that might have been easier to do or less risky, but I still think it's valuable advice to do something that interests you, because you'll always figure out something to do as a job. And so I ended up getting through my geology degree, and then I went on to get a job as a geologist. And I did environmental consulting for a few years. And I did, basically geology work out in the field, working behind a drill rig and doing, groundwater well installations and things like that. And I traveled a ton. So I was like, I got to get off the road. So I ended up coming back home and working at a hazardous waste treatment company in Harvey, Illinois. And learned a lot about regulations and we had an on-site, lab that did all of the testing and analysis of the samples that were coming in, and I was the quality assurance manager of that lab. And also, like kind of a leap from geology. Geology is a generalist type degree, because you take there's a decent amount of math, but not a ton. But there's a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of physics involved in kind of the geological processes. So and even biology to a certain degree when you're talking about studying fossils and the like. And so getting into this on-site lab thing and doing quality assurance work was kind of seems like a weird leap, but it was actually pretty natural. And then this is going back about 20 years ago when I went to Argonne. I was able to kind of pivot there a little bit and go from that commercial hazardous waste treatment into Argonne's hazardous and radioactive waste, which I knew nothing about radioactive waste and or radioactivity at all. And I went there and got a job there managing radioactive waste and shipping it to the desert in Utah. And that foundation I got in that kind of generalist science background was able to get me to a place where I could compile data, analyze data, package it up, present it, and be able to understand the outcomes of the data. And I think that has been a transferable skill from the time that I went to college and kind of learned how to do that with really hardcore science data. But I still do that today. I'm in spreadsheets all the time, analyzing, compiling and analyzing data. And it's all the same, really. It's just different type of data. And so then I started working at Argonne, and I was, shipping out waste, radioactive waste, treating it on site, coming up with treatment systems that we could treat this unique waste forms, and learned a lot about, radioactive half-lives and how to, about time, distance, and shielding, and how to protect workers around radioactivity. and the difference between radioactivity and contamination, which is a completely different thing, and ended up eventually, cleaning out some of our most hardcore nuclear facilities at Argonne, and using robotic equipment and things that NASA uses,
Yeah.
hardened cameras that they use in space and the like. And I learned a ton. It's been an amazing experience to be able to, kind of keep pivoting and doing different things with what was a seed that was planted, way back when I was at Sandberg. So, I mean, I've also done other jobs since I've been there. I've been a project manager, and I was the sustainability manager. I put in, if you drive on Cass Avenue down by the Argonne site, you can see the wind turbine I put in.
Yeah.
A few years back, I put in a 100 and some odd kilowatt solar array, charging stations for electric vehicles, kind of, and just learned along the way about the technology. You don't have to be an expert to be able to, do good and try to be sustainable and all that. And then I worked in an energy storage group as kind of more pivoting more towards the business management side, and supported a big nationwide energy storage initiative, that collaboration that was between universities and the Department of Energy, and managed the business side of that, and trying to create beyond lithium ion batteries, which was pretty awesome. Working with, there is such a thing as rock stars of energy storage, and I worked with the rock star team of energy storage spread out all over the country, and supported the mission there, and then moved into the COO role that I'm in now, supporting the mission there. So it's been a weird journey. If you were to tell me 30 years ago that I would have been here, I would have thought you were crazy, so.
I love it. You brought up so many great things I wanted to highlight and kind of ask you a little bit deeper about. The one that you pivoted a lot, and you kept mentioning that you learned a lot with each new job in that. So a thing I wanted to bring up was learning on the job in that. How does that feel? And is that an exciting thing? Is that something we should expect? I think sometimes we think we learn everything right here in college with this degree, and it seems like you've been a lifelong learner all these years, just continuously growing in that. How was that? Was that challenging, energizing, all the above?
I think it is. It's, I think it's part of kind of keeping yourself sharp. Number one is just learning new skills actually, keeps you sharp. Just like playing music, on the side keeps you sharp in a different kind of brain way, being creative and all that. But I think continually learning and not being afraid, even though it is scary, to learn, some new set of regulations, or learn about radioactivity that you didn't know anything about. It could be really scary at first, but the more you, kind of immerse yourself in it, the more you realize that, the principles of all those things are pretty much the same. So they're very transferable, and you can kind of learn as you go along. And, I think there's a difference between, getting a job and having a career. A career makes you a lifelong learner. A job, it's fine to go get a job and, do the same thing for your entire life. And that's great, but to continually to get into this career where you don't know where it's going to take you, and you keep learning along the way, and, you're always sharp, and the fear gets paid off by the end, the outcome. The end justifies the means on that.
Wow, thank you. And well said. I wanted to go back to all these pivots. Could you talk about how these pivots happen? Is this something that naturally happens? Is it serendipitous? Is it, I'm looking for a new challenge? I think students, a lot of times we learn, you got to get that first job out of college if that's where you're headed. But then what next? And it sounds like all these great humans like you I'm meeting, we have these changes in paths. I'm curious, how does that happen? Is that just luck of the draw? You're in the right place at the right time? Could you kind of talk about maybe a couple examples of when those pivots happen?
Yeah, I think it's both, or all of the above. Okay. It's being at the right place at the right time. It's putting yourself in the right place at the right time. It may be the wrong opportunity, but put yourself out there, get out of your comfort zone, and try to, get in, get an interview.
Mhm.
Once you get past that stage gate, then it's like get a second interview, and maybe you dazzle them enough with your enthusiasm and your. It's not about what you know. It's really about, can I see working with this person really? They
Okay.
got to know enough, but it's really you got to get after it. And you got to be enthusiastic, and credibility, you know, creates opportunity, and credibility comes from delivering and and being predictable that you're going to deliver. And that's how you establish credibility, you establish goodwill. It creates opportunity, especially at a place like Argonne. It's so big. If you get you take on a really scary opportunity, like, because it just presents itself, and you go, I'd like to clean out that nuclear facility over there, and somebody says, okay, go clean out that nuclear facility. It's like, oh crap, what did I get myself into here? But then you deliver on it, and then the opportunities kind of compound on that. And my you got, it's both though. You have to be willing to step into the vacuum when there's a vacuum. Like if there's a need, you step up. It might be extra work, it might be more time, but you step into that vacuum, and then it may not pay off right away, but it'll eventually pay off. And I could chart out my opportunities as they presented themselves, and there was always some leading indicator that ended up paying off at some later date.
Mm.
But you got
Thank
to be
you.
open to it. You got to be willing to step in, and don't be afraid and get out of your comfort zone. Just go for it.
I love it. And you talk about credibility too. And I think, yeah, the more consistent you are, you get a reputation, and they know, oh yeah, Devin Hodge. Oh yeah, this guy cleaned out that facility that was a mess. Like, he's your guy. He's going to figure it out and take it to the next level. And that's a wonderful advice. Thank you for bringing that up. I think it's just hard sometimes to imagine we get that one job, what's next, but staying open, staying sharp, putting yourself in the right spot, all great advice. So Mr. Hodge, I want to respect your time, and I could talk all day about all these crazy things you've been involved with. I love this, but if you look back, is there anything you wish you would have known 17, 18, 19 years old, or anything you've learned along the way that's like a life hack or valuable tip that just always seems to pay off? We love learning from other people. So the stage is yours, my friend, if you had anything to share.
Yeah, two things come to mind. One is I shared the story about when I was in high school and I was trying to decide what I wanted to major in college, which continued in college, is don't limit yourself. You may not be I was a C student at Sandberg.
Okay.
I mean, there's still some teachers around there that maybe remember me. I was a C student at Sandberg, and I allowed other people's expectations of what that looks like to limit my opportunities that I wanted to pursue. If you want to pursue something, and I know it sounds so cliche, go for it. And just, I chose to be an art major because I thought it'd be easy, but I sucked at art. So it was like, well, why don't I do this other thing? Well, I got to take physics, and I got to take, chemistry, high level chemistry classes and things. Don't limit yourself. Once you flip the switch on that's the thing that you want, you can go after it. I think the other thing is, just to reiterate the thing about credibility, part of, and this is part of, you could go into the business world or the working world, and you kind of reinvent yourself along the way. You can kind of, if you got pigeonholed in a certain job, and you're like, I got to get out of this job, and then you go to another place of employment, and you could be a different version of you, but the true you is always there, right? And I didn't learn until later in my career that it's okay to be, and I think you've learned this. It's okay to infuse your personality into your job. You suppress certain parts of your personality when you're in a job, but you should allow certain parts of your personality to come out, because we're all people, and people like working with interesting people and diverse people, and just allow glimmers of your personality to come out. You don't have to be a all stuffy professional. You could be a crazy rock drummer and stuff,
Oh, I like that.
So,
Oh, well said, sir. Thank you so much for your time. And again, just injecting ourselves into your path, and that we learn the little tips along the way. But I'm excited. Lifelong learning, yes. Holding yourself accountable so that you can be credible, yes. Putting yourself in great situations so that you are open to change and growth. all the way. And then being your personal organic self brings something to the table, brings a little extra to the job. So awesome highlights. But Mr. Hodge, we thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for all you do with Argonne. It's such an important place for our entire country and world.
Thanks, Mr. J. Really appreciate you asking me to come on. Thanks.
Oh, my pleasure. Have a great day.